Hello world, WayofTime here, bringing to you another episode of Dragon's Durance. So, my quarry has hit some water supply. Oh my gosh, that is more than just some water supply. And let's see, let's put this here, and I don't see why it's not going forward. There we go. So, as you can see, it does work in water. I don't think there is any Ooh, look, diamonds. I'm glad that it didn't actually eat that. So, it works in water. It works through lava. I had a bit of a lava spat back there. And everything's good. Now, the only problem is that it's going to be very difficult to actually work through this, so to speak. Because, well, having all this lava, or rather water, blocking my way is not exactly kosher, I wouldn't say. So let's get this water out of the way. And this one is also going to need to disappear, so to speak. So there we go. And I've been trying to get some bit of gold so we could use it as a reference sample. But what I think I'm going to do is throw 3 gold into Shadow Dragon's base, and then basically as recompense, and take 1 little gold ore. Now in the meantime, I think it's going to be a prudent idea to take all of these shiny diamonds because, frankly, diamonds are shiny and best when picked nice and toasty. So, without further ado, let's see what types of improvements we can do. And I really hate lava, by the way. See you when I get out of this hellhole. So, there are a few small things that I want to get, well, over with, so to speak, in this episode. Number 1, well, let's see. Number 1 is to put the gold into the one of the barrels. I'm not really considering that a step, so let's move onwards. The next thing I want to do, which is the new number 1, new and improved, now with less bits and bytes and bobs, is to put a chunk loader block onto the tunnel bore machine so that it'll be able to continue while I am not physically on the server. We'll want to put 1 ender pearl and let it fly, make sure that items go. And before we do that, so number 2 on the list is change the sorting system. Man, I love using air quotes. They are the best, though you can't exactly see me doing them. Sorting system. There we go, air quotes. We want to get the sorting system set up so that at a flick of a switch we can just not accept any sort of cobblestone, because we are going to go through a lot of that junk while we are tunneling along, and I don't want it to clog the barrel system. So what I think we'll do is, well, pretty simple. Let's first get this into position, and then we can worry about our shenanigans. Plow. So I don't think anything else will get clogged up in this. There's nothing that will really stand out in my mind unless there's some sort of new and improved ore. Thank goodness we don't have useless diecraft clogging up our system. So, world anchor management. So the world anchor is going to be the first thing we want to make, and we should have all of our materials right in our inventory currently. Okay, so that's good enough. Now, first of all, let's move our nice little thing here, our router, move it over here instead, and put a tube here. So it'll go into the router from the other side, and we can put the useless upgrades on it like so. So now this works perfectly, it's perfectly functional, and we can just go like that, and it'll take items out, etc., put them in the appropriate places, thankfully. So now another thing we're going to want to put on this is some sort of voiding system, like a simple filter. So a filter that will pretty much void all of the stuff. Now I don't think we actually have any specific void pipe. That's only in Buildcraft, and I do not believe Red Power has any sort of, well, Red Power equivalents, so there's no point looking for any of that. Maybe we can compress it into something. though I don't think there's anything that would be, well, worthwhile, so to speak. So, filter, we have enough space for a filter, and I think this filter will put on the bottom of the system, so it'll just go out and etc. Very low management and stuff. So I don't think any of the other stuff is going to be a problem, like gravel and flint we may need eventually. Flint especially for instrumentum. But let's put this filter right here, so it's oriented correctly. Put the lever here so that this will allow us to have cobble, but this won't. So let's test. So this won't allow cobble, and let's wait for actual cobble. There we go. It gets put out. If there's any more cobble, it just gets put out again. And something is blocking this. So what's the new item? It is coal. Thank goodness. So coal. We'll put that there. So now we know that coal is an issue. And there's still more stuff, so let's keep that going. We'll want to take that off so that all the cobblestone gets uselessized, though it might kill the system with all the useless cobblestone that's going to be floating on the ground downstairs. Sorry, I just gotta laugh at what I just said. Downstairs. I don't have any bloody stairs. How am I supposed to go down them? So, in terms of sanity, I think it'd probably be best to have this here, so that we can do some useless crafting in the meantime. So, put this here. La la la. So, world anchor. We're going to want our gold, our diamonds, our obsidian, and unfortunately it requires more diamonds than that, so we might as well put that there. And we got a world anchor. We'll throw this in, and then shut it. Ah, there's another thing that we need. I didn't think of that. We need to put obsidian in the system as well, because there is an off chance that we'll actually see some obsidian. We'll put it here. There we go. So this world anchor will put down. I don't think there's any point currently to have an automatic charging station. However, I think it is a prudent idea to have more battery boxes than what we currently have. How many can our system currently hold? I think it can actually hold a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 battery boxes. If my math is right, and it probably is. So let's make a few more battery boxes and get that going. So battery boxes. Do we have any plans for batteries? No, we do not. And we're going to need 12 batteries to make 3 more battery boxes. So let's check the batteries out a bit. And it's going to need nickelite, copper, and etc. So do we have a nickelite and or copper in any sort of place? We also need tin, so that's probably something we're going to need to grab as well. And iron for the physical boxes, as well as wood. Can't have enough wood. And we have more than enough diamonds currently in our supply. La 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 la. I don't think we do. So, and I managed to say that on beat as well. So, I think tin is something we're going to need to create a bit of. So throw it partially into my processing chain, not go fully, and then that should be good. Now, I have been hearing talk from some people. Man, that sounds so formal, so to speak. I've been hearing some people say that it's actually a good idea to put the crystalline whatever you get, so for instance crystalline tin, to put that stuff into the wrath furnace. I'm probably butchering what it's actually supposed to be, so excuse me. No, please don't. That is very inappropriate of you. Yeah. So we're probably going to need to do that, and this ore processing chain is not exactly... I'm going to look around, see if there's any tin that I'm misplacing, and then I'll be right back. So I found some copper in here, that's a good thing, and there was tin in my white canvas bag. dope. So I've got everything. I'm gonna keep that grinder going anyway, so that we can get ourselves grinded up a bit, grind ourselves in a spat or something. But we are going to need to make some more stuff. So let's see. That's 5, but we still have a bit more nickelite at our disposal, and just enough everything to get all this down. So also what we're going to need is a bit of a wooden canvas. Can we get the wooden canvas, my dear sir? Oh, yes we can. I think we can. So let's see. Iron, this, 1, 2, 3, and 3. There we go. So let's have these charge up a bit. Then we'll bring them all downstairs. We'll bring them all down, see what we can do with them, and hopefully not break our neck due to the aforementioned lack of stairs. So while all of this stuff is powering up, I think it's a good idea to get ourselves set a little better in some factorization energy, since we will need to expand this area eventually to get pretty much some factorization energy. So we're going to need to test a few things with mirrors. Let's take these quickly. So 2 simple mirrors, and one of the things we want to test is the farthest range of this. Now, I'm not actually too sure on the range myself, so this is going to be a fun experiment. Okay, so first let's try this far. Doesn't work. That far works. That was very helpful. So the maximum range is this. So inclusive, let's not include the mirror. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 8 blocks including the mirror. Now let's check. A mirror on top of it doesn't affect it. So what this tells us is that the mirror is good in the fact that, well, how do I explain this? The mirror is able to get sunlight from a mirror that's above it or something like that. And another thing I'd like to test is the actual block itself, which will tell us a lot of stuff. So let's find our factorization energy fan thing. It's coming to me. Solar turbine. No, it wasn't coming to me, obviously. We're going to probably make another solar turbine. Is it a point? What I want to test is, obviously this doesn't work. Or maybe it just hasn't had a chance to reset itself. So we should check. So take that. And that, okay, it does work. However, this shouldn't work. And it does work. That is actually quite interesting. So this tells me a few things. It's possible that okay, so obviously the mirror might not work that way. Well, let's see. C sunlight might not actually mean be the same as full sunlight. So let's put these back. We're gonna probably have to one way to fully test whether mirrors can be stacked on top of one another is to actually have mirrors stack on top of one another with these solar turbines stacked upon one another as well. That will be a very deductive test, rather, and would be able to tell us everything that we need to know about that. So I think crafting a few more mirrors would be a good idea. We should have enough silver for everything like that. And now that we don't need this, it will be a bit better crafting wise. We just have to find some more silver. Wait, if I found tin in here, there must be silver. There is not silver. That is very, 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 very unfortunate. Though we can, well, there's silver ore, though that's not exactly what I'm looking for, but no matter. Okay, so these will be enough for all of our battery box needs. So thankfully they do stack at full power, so we won't need to bring as much bling for our thing, and that is a horrible way to say stuff. So another thing that we should do right away is to, well, while we're going to test things, we should just put a simple timer on. The timer, rather, should be on. And then we'll put some chunk loading. Yay! So let's put 2 things in here. Yay. And we should also get ready to get some obsidian, since obsidian would be probably a very good idea for everything. So I'll meet you downstairs once I got a water bucket as well as everything else. What? No diamonds in this place? Shame, come on. So I looked in the ravine that was just yonder off of this thingamabobber, and apparently there were not going to be any sort of freebies in that area whatsoever. So let's continue onwards on our merry way past the lava flow, which hasn't depleted at all, really, and then get this chunk loader down and figure out where everything else is going to need to go. So let's see. Battery, battery, battery. Battery, battery, battery. That doesn't connect, so that's good. Now the only other place to put a battery is here, unless we want everything else to go. But we need a chunk loader to stay as well. Actually, derp. So chunk loader here, probably, would be a good idea. We can move it if need be, though I don't think that will be needed. And, how will we have a good battery? Are these otherwise connected? I think so. Though I don't think there's any reason for this frame stuff to be here. No, there isn't actually. That's funny. This isn't a structural integral part. It's probably just for shits and gigs, so to speak. And everything else is connected, so we can put a chunk loader here and a battery box. Maybe put the battery box here. And items shouldn't flow into them if there will be items. Let's put this and this here so nothing can go into there. Put a battery box here as well. And these will charge. Well, should I put that battery box there? Don't think there's any reason to. Well, we got frames now. So what we can do is probably move this out so that we got a battery over there instead. Let me actually think about this before I just go gun-ho destroying everything in sight. Well, first, good thing we saw that. I think we're going to put this back and cover up most of the major sides. And hopefully this battery box will be of some use, give some extra power so that it can go faster. And we're going to put our chunk loader down here, as well as we're going to need our battery box, which is going to be over there. And we're going to want to fill it with some dirt so that nothing bad happens. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, it should stay chunk loaded. That is what someone said. So I'm going to take his word for it, and then just have this going at its lovely snail's pace. While it's not going to light anything up, I guess I can light it some other time. And what we're going to do is test if it actually works while we're in the base. So I'm going to run back to the base, and if we still get items while I'm at the base, we'll see it's working. Now, I don't think the battery power will last all the time. We can probably expand the bay. In fact, when we change it so that it's actually, change it so that it becomes a 5x5 bore instead of a 3x3 bore, we'll have a lot more lateral space to improve the size and thus battery capacity. And we could have a battery charging plant as well. I can probably ask Kondrick to help me with the design. He has a very good one currently. If you haven't go to my channel, the main channel area, and look for my the channels that are at the side. You can find Condric's channel, look at his tutorial for a battery charger, remote battery charger, and I'm probably going to use something similar to his, assuming I actually have the required materials, which is going to require some of our ore being processed. Okay, we're in our impromptu base. We really need to clean that area and probably need to move the tree farm, though that's not what we're looking at. Let's go over here, and we see that some items are still getting parsed. Oh my gosh. Apparently there's a bit of a chunk error as well, and we can pretty much see everything that is down there. So what this does tell me is that our tunnel bore is out of the range of seeing, and I'm not going to look anymore because that is cheaty. Let's load those chunks as best as we can, and we're probably going to need to restart, so to speak, and this stuff is going to need to be lavafied. So do we have any sort of lava currently? No, we do not. So I'll dump the water that's in this bucket, grab the lava that's in our cobblestone generator. We can use that in the interim until we get some other lava source or fire. Yes, that's simple enough. So we need to get some netherrack and our flint and steel combination, which we don't seem to have handy at the moment, though we can get some netherrack, some of this instead, and it should burn. So get this, and hopefully we do not light the grass. Rather, if we light the grass, this place is going to go boom. So let's make this a little more fun. Put there. Boom. Okay, so now that netherrack is going to stay, and it's not going to stay because it's not a big fireplace. So we're going to need to get some actual nether rack and not some nether brick because it's not going to, well, stay satiated, so to speak. So that is not going to be a good idea. So let's get some nether rack. Maybe we can grind this into, let's see, can we turn this into regular old nether rack? No, we cannot, which is a bit of an issue. Bit of an issue indeed. Let's find some netherrack in some of our storage. I'm sure it's in our aspect room. Thankfully, it was in there, so we won't have to worry too much. Now, we should replace our nether brick so that we do not have the ugliest thing in the world. Well, have you seen Condric's face? Yikes, that's okay, that was a low blow. Anyway, where is my flint and tinder? That could be a bit of a problem. We can't use the wrath igniter since that probably would be a bad solution. So we're probably going to need to create this a bit better. So let's take our nuggets and make one of these and make one of these. And if I get it the right way this time, woohoo, and jump down. So all of it's right here. And it's not that, it's this. Haha! Take that! And it's pretty regular, you know? Yes, it is very regular, Way. It is very regular. I'm gonna reload the world. And, well, to quickly log off so I don't see that, because that is annoying. Hallelujah. Oh my gosh, what's with that? I need better stairs or an elevator. So another thing that I think I can create in the meantime is try to find the research for the goggles of revealing, because currently, for some odd inexplicable reason that I have no clue about, I do not have the goggles of revealing recipe yet. So we're going to need to go in and eventually make that. We have the thermometer, which is easy enough, but I'll just go quickly and try to find the research required, rather just get the research for it, and hopefully everything will go well. I'd make a joke about not having any lucks so far, but seeing as I have glowstone, I have all the lucks in the world. So I think this should be our research ingredient to get that. Now we'll take the warded jar research out of the way, and I think Lux should be the one for the... Sorry, Visum should get the goggles of revealing, which is probably going to require metalum and other things. So I'll finish researching this, and then I'll be back when everything's done. Okay, so our goggles of revealing are almost done. We just need some Visum, Precantio, and some Mutatio. So we have everything needed, though it's going to cause a bit of flux once we're done. Then we'll be able to see the damage that we have caused. And it'll require 60 Vs, so that's good. We got our Wand of the Adept for that. Some Visum. So we're going to need 8 of this. I said 8, rather. Some of this, which is going to require 2. So that, as well as our nice 8 nether wart, and we'll have a bit of flux as well. So put this in. We'll drop that, and we'll drop that. And now that all the aspects should be going towards this, we'll take our goggles of revealing, and then take this out, and see, we have moderate flux, and wow, we have a high aura. So let's go to bed and see where all the nodes are. So we have a moderate flux. That's not the best in the world, though it's not the worst. And probably one of the areas that we have flux, or rather where all of our aura nodes are those 2 areas right there. Now this is obviously the area for that tree. Now stepping back a bit, because it was 98. Unless that 98 is just overpowering or it's not refreshing, so that node goes very far. And what's the node that's controlling over here? Huh? Is this still 98? That's very odd. Okay, so it takes a while to refresh, or the node moved. If the node moved, that's a bit of a problem. So I'm going to look for the node. Gold zombie. I'll look for the node. Hopefully I find it. If not, we're going to have a bit of a problem. Oh, if Shadow's stealing it, I'm not going to be happy. So the finding of it hasn't proved to be useful at all, as rather I cannot find it. It seems to, I cannot talk. The goggles of revealing seem to have some sort of odd refresh period, in the fact that it doesn't exactly refresh as frequently as I'd like it to. Now I might actually be, I'm gonna try to stop saying actually so much. I might be sharing Zombie Monkey's aura node. If that's the case, I should find it, near his base. So that might be some indication of where it actually is. And we got chickens. Cluck, cluck, cluck. Thank you. There you are. So here's the main aura node that is giving us a bit of a trouble. There's a bit of trouble with this aura node. It's probably the main aura node we were actually using beforehand. And it's only when our what's-its-face actually got strong enough that we started using its aura. Yes, the tree, that's what I've been trying to articulate. So we know what it's like, we know where it is, and eventually when we get into the research, we'll probably be able to better manage all of its flux. Now, I don't think there's a thing that can actually take out flux from the environment, but I do know there's a way to recharge the aura in an area. So I might go into some other base while doing all the research, crafting, etc. that's going to be required for the Alembic. And, well, I'm going to need to get an Alembic for sure. That'll probably take a bit of effort. It won't be too bad, really. And then we'll see how that goes. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of Dragon's Durance. If you like what you see, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe to future episodes. It seems like the aura node that was in this tree got taken up, or rather, yes, I'll play around with this stuff. WayofTime here, signing off. Have a wonderful day.